Okay, got it, it says. I love this technology thing. Honestly, I felt quite special this morning setting up the computer, but having the phone just in case the computer didn't react to my lack of knowledge. I've got 2 sets of hearing things upon your advice. And it's all working, and it's working through the phone. Now, isn't that fascinating?
Wonderful.
That's amazing. You've learned something new, but I think today you're going to teach us something new. So everyone's...
Roz and Kate, what I have realised in life is that we share experiences. That's the most important thing. Because whatever we do, it has an effect on other people. So the conversation today with the 2 of you, I have gone up in the ratings of my friends. I said, I'm doing a podcast.
We're so excited to have you, aren't we?
Yes, we are. And I don't have anyone up on the ratings from doing a podcast because you've already done radio and been teaching for a long time. But a podcast is new for you, and doing new things is what you're all about. So it's necessary, because you cannot remain as you were 20 or 30 years ago. For one reason only: you miss out. You miss out on everything. Reflecting back to my youth, when I travelled around with an ice show, there was no telephone, there were no mobile phones. If you made a telephone call from, say, France to England, it cost a fortune, and on your wages you couldn't afford it. All we had were letters and postcards. And there's a lovely thing about the postcards. In those days, postmen and milkmen were really friendly, and they were part of one's environment. Not like today, it's all cut off today. And the postman would arrive at my father's house and come in for a cup of tea or coffee, and he'd say, "George," that was my father, "I see that Gena's in Switzerland and she's having a very nice time, and she's been doing this and that." And he would hand my father the postcard.
So he's had to read first.
And he'd read.
How lovely.
And it was part of this sharing your life with somebody.
Yes.
And that's how I see every stage of my life, is sharing it. And it doesn't matter what age, share it. We've all got something to say, everybody.
We have, and you've got plenty to say, Gena, and I'm a stickler for routine, and I've got an introduction to share, so I'm going to do I'm going to introduce you properly, even though you've given our listeners an insight into Gena Alston, which is just fabulous. So I'm going to go with my introduction, and then we're going to hand it over to you, because you've got plenty of wonderful things to share with us.
We like actually telling everyone how fantastic this is going to be, don't we?
Yes. So in case anyone hasn't got an idea yet, today we're sharing a personal story with a difference. Meet the dynamic and unstoppable Gena Alston. Gena was born and educated in England, spending a great deal of her early life in the theatrical world. Who could tell? A serious accident took her out of dancing and into a life of travelling the globe through her new passion, that of ice skating. Now in her 70s and long since settled in Australia, Gena's been exploring the meaning of life for over 30 years. An accumulation of wisdom which she's personally tried and tested is now being shared with the many who find themselves searching for answers. Hello and welcome to another episode of Ironing Out the Wrinkles. I'm your host, Ros McMaster.
And I'm your other host, Kate Shaw. Together, we're taking the age out of ageism, helping men and women embrace the second stage of life with less fear. Gena has trained in the healing arts, studied many different religious beliefs and philosophical teachings, all of which she brings into her own way of being. Now, at her new home in Brisbane, Australia, she is involved in the metaphysical life, being a working clairvoyant and teacher of awareness. Gena says, life is precious, exciting, and that we need to step boldly into who we are, where we are, and create the magical experience of living your dream. And today, she's going to share her wisdom for doing just that. Gena, hello and welcome.
Good morning, girls, and thank you for inviting me to this new experience. This is really very special indeed. And because we're talking about aging, I would like to say that it's magic having a new experience at nearly 76. It's fantastic. I love it. And I've been telling everybody all over the world that this is going to happen. And they're all waiting to hear it or see it or whatever happens with it. So thank you very much indeed. And I've dressed up for you today because I wasn't quite sure if I was going to be seen or not. But with the being seen, I will always dress up, which is part of my philosophy, because every single day is special, every day. I was in the supermarket, which I go to on a regular basis, purely because it's fun. I go there just to buy a few items, and a lovely chap at the counter, John, he's one of the people working there. He said, "You look very nice today." I said, "Thank you, John." He said, "Anything special?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Oh, what's that?" I said, "I've come to see you."
Oh, that's so lovely. What a nice thing to say.
But it's true. If you embrace life, then you enjoy life, really.
And he feels special too.
What it is, everybody needs to feel special. Have you ever noticed in a cafe or in a supermarket, people have got their names on? How many people use them? How many people say, "Thank you, John," or "Thank you, Samantha"?
And it really makes people feel seen, doesn't it, when you address them by their name?
Absolutely, but that's who they are. They are not a number. This is not Star Trek. We are not, 7 of 9. Oh, wouldn't we like to be like 7 of 9? But never mind. We're not a Star Trek thing. We are a person with a name. And funnily enough, I've just written down here with a purpose. In my clairvoyant dealings with people, many say to me, "I need to know my purpose." And I say, "That's so easy." They go, "Oh, really? Why is that easy?" I said, "Because your purpose is to live your life. That's all you have to do."
Yes. We've mentioned that with a few guests. Like people think they have to leave this amazing mark on the world and, go and invent something, to cure brain cancer or something. But leaving a mark is just as simple as smiling at someone at the checkout and calling them by name
and saying thank you.
That's your purpose. Kindness and compassion at the simplest level.
I call it contribution, because you're contributing on two levels. I work on the level of energy, but I'm also conscious of material life, which is not the finances. It's just that the table seems solid and my arm seems solid. But I feel I have to anyway, contribute on two levels. One is be kind, be nice, but the intention behind it as well is the energy that you infect people with. And I like infecting people with the happy virus.
It's a silent language, isn't it? Just the facial expression and your tone of voice says so much. It's not actually always the words, it's the way it's said.
Exactly. But Kate, it's the intention behind. If your intention is of kind and you contribute, let's say, a peaceful action or even laughter, it makes such a difference to the person who's projecting it and the person or the people receiving it. Some won't like it, but we mustn't judge that. It's just that they're not ready. That's all.
And we don't know the backstory either.
Yeah.
I've
Not at
learned that
all.
long ago. Yes.
Yeah, not at all. We never
Can't
know
judge a
what's
book by its
going on.
cover. No.
So,
Exactly.
so you have a vibrant enthusiasm for life, which, you know, going by the fact that you were on stage for a long time in your childhood, that's obviously an innate part of your nature. So what about, I often wonder about the people who are innately introverted and just don't like being out in a crowd or being the center of attention. And when connection to community is so important as we get older, how do those people get out of that rut of feeling isolated when they're just
Very
not
shy.
when they're very shy? Yeah.
Yes. One of the ways that I think is a good way is to be involved in some aspect of a charitable action. So a lot of people, if they're very shy, that can be for many reasons. It's they just weren't nurtured sufficiently for whatever reason. They've been on the receiving end of difficult actions, or they might have an anxiety problem because of a million different reasons. But I think within every being, I always say that within every human, there is this aspect of kindness. It just has to be discovered. And often, if people are very shy, if they can involve themselves where they don't have to make a decision, but they're part of the outcome, they will then perceive themselves to be stronger and wiser than they thought they were before. So whether it's in packing up food parcels, or whether it's helping animals, or whether it's attending to people sleeping on the street, there's always an area where kindness prevails. It just has to be opened up.
Yes.
That's what I think.
And you forget about yourself then, don't you? Yeah.
And of course, the Dalai Lama said the path to happiness is through service to others. And it really is, isn't it?
Well, it's contributing. You know, I say to people now, I would love to do, what would I love to do? I would love to take some people in from war-torn countries, and I would like to give them food, and I'd like to hand them my clothes. I'm not in a position to do that. The only position that I am in is what I create in my pond. And in my pond, which is my area around me, it is my role to contribute well. So that's in caring, noticing, not reacting even sometimes. You think, oh, because if you think about your pond in front of you, you don't want to throw mud into it and dirty it up. You want your pretty lilies to look nice. You want your little green frogs to jump out. You want it to be a lovely space. If you create that space, you are actually infecting other people anyway, because there, as they say in the wisest of teachings, there's no separation. So if you take charge of here, then the world, if everybody took charge of here, the world will be a better place. So many years ago, as you know, Roz, I did this channeling, and the energy said, to stop world wars, all you have to do is put down the guns. So, of course, everybody, each person put down the gun, or each person put down their fear, or each person put down the desire to control, and then the world would be a better place. But it has to come from an individual. That's all it has to do.
Yes.
Once again, love. That's the word we get from all our guests.
Absolutely. Contribute love, contribute kindness, do what you can to make somebody smile. That's what I try it because it's my duty and it's a nice one.
Yes.
You know,
Duty
it's
is
a good
a human being.
guide badge, that one. Kindness. I love it.
Yeah,
Sometimes
that's wonderful, Gena.
The hardest one to be kind to, of course, is oneself.
Exactly. You're not kidding. Yes.
Do you do any self-depreciation?
Well, first of all, I think I'm brilliant, which is what I say to people when they come here. And I say, I think I'm brilliant. And they say, but you are. I said, no, the reason I think I'm brilliant is because I think I'm brilliant.
My dad says you've got to be your own best friend.
Yeah. There's a lot that Gena has done which was inappropriate, but she learned from it. And I like talking in the third person. because it's like having a conversation with myself. Can I give you an example of this?
Yes,
'Cause
please.
it taught me a lot. As it's been mentioned before, I go to Zumba. At the moment, I've got a bad ankle, so I can't dance. So I'm there at the door helping people. But as you can see, I've got this funny thing here. Well, my wrist is suffering from, elderly itis. All the bones are crumbling.
It's
And there was
awful.
a lovely lady at the group who was dancing away in Zumba, and she came in with her arm all strapped up. And I said, "What have you done?" And she'd broken it. Well, the story went on for a bit. And then there I am one day. I know she's going away on a long journey, and she's got this awful bandage thing. Now, my friend made all these up for me, so I can't hardly give them away, but I did have a few others. So I'm standing by the desk and I'm thinking, now, should I give this person my other bands? And I have this thing about, if I need to do something, I toss a coin. Heads yes, tails no. And I said to myself, I'll toss a coin. And this voice came from wherever and said, do you really need to toss a coin to act in a kind and considerate way?
Ouch. Ouch.
So at the end of the session, I gave this lovely lady one of these that I'd made, which is awful because I can't sew, but a beautiful black lace one that I had. And I handed it to her. And she was so taken back. And she said, I can go away. I said, you can be pretty now. And she's gone off with her cover
bless
on.
you. That's beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's hard to be kind sometimes, because sometimes we feel we might be rejected. Other times we think it's probably not the right thing. Other times is it the ego? The whole point is that, again, I come back to this little pond. If I put kindness in here, that's all I need to do. I can offer people, if they don't want it, it's their choice. It's their privilege to say no as it is to say yes. But if we do kindness, what's wrong with that? It's like planting sunflower seeds and then we get sunflowers. Just plant away. And don't worry about people. I never worry about people.
Yeah, that's fabulous. You were, before we hit the record button, you were talking about how important it is to stay relevant with technology.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it, actually. I'm hopeless. I really am hopeless. But I feel it's a privilege as well, which we have now. We didn't have it when I was younger, that we can call people up all over the world. My family are all in England and more in America. And we can have conversations. I can have my little grandson, well, he's not little so much anymore, he's coming up to 9. He can read me a story via modern technology.
I
Years
agree. It's
ago,
amazing.
you couldn't do that. You couldn't
No.
have a video call. There was nothing to do. Half the time we couldn't afford to have a phone call because it was a week's wages. And when I lived in South America, we had to book it. We had to go through all the different telephone.
Oh,
So
goodness.
South America to, I think it was Panama, I'm not right. Anyone can correct me on that. And then to America, then America to London, and then London to Bournemouth.
Oh my gosh.
What a journey.
I know.
We've come a long way. Yeah, haven't we?
We have. And aren't we lucky? We're
Yes,
really, really
very
lucky.
Yes. But
And
even you try to stay relevant and up to date with technology. You were talking about how difficult it's going to be even to do banking unless older people get on board.
It's frightening for a lot of people because it's so new. This is where it's often the case of try and find out about it so that you're not frightened of it, because all it is a machine. And I've spoken to a lot of people who have technological wisdom, and I said, why can't libraries start up programs where they can teach the people who've got the time, the elderly people, on how to update their phone? They might have taught them there's something new, but they don't know how to update it. And it's a running thing, because all the time there's something new coming out, all the time. So it's important because, for instance, in England, if you want to travel by train, you have to book online to get your ticket. Otherwise, it's nearly twice or three times as much as expensive. And so when you get to the station, you've got to put your card in to get your ticket out. So you get somebody in their 70s and their 80s, that's very hard. So we should learn on a monthly basis, on a year. We need to be advanced all the time, all the time. It's important because soon there will not be banks. I don't know what it's like, well, where we live. When the COVID was on, when people were ill, the banks were closed half the day because they didn't have any staff. So how do you get your money out? How do you pay your bill?
I know some people worry about scammers, don't they? But there's technology now to protect you, isn't there?
Do you have to be sensible with scammers? I mean, before it was somebody dipped into your handbag and took your wallet out.
True.
You know, now it's an electronic robbery rather than that. With scammers, you know, there are so many. Why not do a class in the libraries on scammers?
Good idea.
You only have to have one instruction and then you can build on it yourself because you're given that information. If there's an email come through and it's got some strange dots after it, don't answer it or investigate it. They need, I think the libraries would do exceedingly well, and also charge a few pennies or a donation to the local community.
Yes,
really.
yeah.
That's a lovely
Well,
idea.
for anyone who is listening and is concerned with scammers, apparently if you get an email, an actual company, a genuine company, will never tell you to click a link in the email. They will simply say, go to our website. They will never tell you to click a link. So, yeah, if you've been asked to click a link, it's a scam. So stay away from it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same
Always
on
go
your
to the
messages,
company.
too.
Always go to the company, even if you have to put it on hold. You know, listen to the music. It's
Yes.
better than losing thousands and thousands, isn't it? I think it's
Yes.
important. I'm trying not to say I mean. Have you ever noticed, you two, since you talk publicly, that you get into a habit of saying a sentence which you shouldn't say all the time? Politicians do it all the time, bless them.
I think we are often I've noticed a lot of things that I'm doing wrong with my speech at the moment.
So what kind of thing?
Mine is, at the moment, I hear myself say, I mean. Why would I want to say I mean?
Oh, I know.
Kate and I were just talking about that this morning. There is an app you can get that takes the ums and ahs out of your speech
as well.
And I just said to Kate, oh, does it take out the I knows? Because that's what I say all the time. You know.
I think I do too.
Oh, it's so annoying listening to myself.
I really get cross. But yeah, somebody kindly told me that a week or during the week, another actor I work with, he said, have you got this? I think it's called Adobe or something like that. It's an artificial intelligence.
But, you know, there I go again. People don't notice you saying the ums and ahs. Yes. They're listening to the main points of what you're raising. So
language is so important, isn't it? And this was something I learned many years ago when I learned Spanish. And do you want to know how I learned Spanish?
Please.
Hilarious story. I learned Spanish by reading Pride and Prejudice in Spanish because I knew it so well in English.
Oh, my goodness.
That's a good tip.
It's brilliant. You get the book and you know it. And then if you've got an ability with languages, but with Spanish, they have many words for the same thing. And so what you have to do is, if you want to say the beautiful garden is filled with beautiful flowers, you don't do that. You have to use a different word to express the beauty. I try and do that in English because the English language is vast and we're very privileged to have it. Because the poor foreigners have to learn how to get through, cough, bow, thorough, and enough, all O-U-G-H. And the poor foreigners go, how do I pronounce this? And what about read and read? And then you've got the other read with two E's and not R-E-A-D. So if we grow up, which we do, automatically learning it, why not use it? I love the language. I love hearing language. I love hearing the difference.
I love French too. Adore
Yes,
it.
yeah. So you keep
Mm.
you're 70 now, but
No, I'm
you
going to be 76 on August the 3rd, and any flowers will be welcome. Thank you very much.
okay, but you still stay so busy. Age has not wearied you. The body is breaking down in different parts, as you said, but how have you had to adjust your life to accommodate the natural progress of the body breaking down without giving up on,
What
you
you
know,
love.
being as busy as what you are?
Well, number one is I think it's a privilege to grow old. I really do, because I have too many friends who haven't had that opportunity. So if it's a privilege, then of course it means it's a blessing. So coming to not being as active, well, up until 2 weeks ago, I was doing Zumba 5 days a week. It's only because I've got a bad ankle
It's impressive.
that I'm having 4 or 6 weeks off, my doctor told me. So I keep active because it's my nature and my nurture. I was nurtured to dance at the age of 3, and then went on to the stage school, and then eventually, as you said, the accident took me into ice skating. So it is, it's like being a redhead. I'm active,
Do you mind
to
me
be quite
asking
honest.
what that accident was?
Oh, you're certainly going to laugh at this. It was on November the 5th, a very cold winter's day in England. We were preparing for a show when all producers and directors would come, and there was a can-can number, and had to do the jump splits. And I did the jump splits, and I couldn't walk for 5 months after that.
Oh my
Oh my
goodness.
God.
Oh, you poor thing. How painful.
Well, it
And
was terrible. It was
how old were
terrible.
you then?
I was 13.
Gee, that is
Mm.
really tough.
So my
Yes.
career ended because I couldn't walk.
No. Oh
And I
gosh.
went, my parents moved, and part of my physiotherapy to get the strength back was to go ice skating, which I had done anyway. And then at the age of 14, I got better. And at the age of 14, I was the youngest ice skater in the show.
How great. And with your dancing background as well, that would have been
Absolutely.
fabulous.
I
That
wasn't a
brings me
very
to
good.
ask you, a good
I was going
skater,
to say
I
I
reckon
wasn't
you
a very
were.
good skater. I wasn't a good skater, but I was a very good showgirl.
Oh, that was all about entertaining people, isn't it? And that
Oh,
leads me to ask you, now that you've been out of the industry, the entertainment industry for some time, are you still influenced by the body image that was imposed on you at a young age, or is there less focus of worrying about the physical appearance as you've aged? Um,
yeah.
or is it
No, I'm
like a
very,
case of
very
loving
worried about
yourself?
it.
Mm.
I laughingly say I have a complex. I said everybody knows I've got a complex. I've got a weight complex. But then you see, I turn it around the other way, and I think, well, I have a weight complex, which means I will not go out and eat lots of chocolates and lots of this. So it's positive.
Yes.
You are weighed every week,
Mm.
and you are fined if you are overweight. You get a complex.
Yes, that was my background too. Yes.
What's
Mm.
so funny is I'm still very, very friendly, although she's in England, with my pal who skated with me. And she was tall, well, she still is tall, and gorgeous looking girl, long legs that went on forever, skinny as anything. So 3 days before weigh-in, she will get fined if she was too thin. So she
Oh,
ate bananas and cakes and whatever, and I didn't eat anything at all, and took, I'll be very honest with you, I don't mind, medication, right? Not
yes.
drugs, but so I didn't eat. So now I am the one who, I can't say is thinner, but maybe in slightly better condition, purely because I have this complex of not eating so
Yes.
much.
Yes.
And I grew up in the Twiggy days too. Remember
Oh,
Twiggy, that
well,
model?
exactly. I
That's because
know.
I'm 70 this year, so I'm not that
Well, you
much
don't
younger than
look it.
you. Oh, it's just a number, isn't it? Really.
I know it's a
But
good number, isn't it?
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
very, very lucky, very, very lucky. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's inside your consciousness. You know that
Mm.
it's only frivolous and it's only a house, etc. That's why I still have
Yeah.
Well, I'm
acupuncture
going to jump
injections.
in here, if you don't mind me saying, and I think the body is such the most remarkable machine ever had.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
And people take more care of their car than they do their body. So I look at it, I put good things into my body. If I can't eat as much, I make sure that I have the right sort of supplements because we need to keep going.
It's
But as
fuel.
I
Yes.
always say with people with their car, I say, do you put paraffin in to make your car run? They go, no. I said, why are you putting rubbish food into your body? It's quite simple. This machine is amazing what it can do.
Mm.
So I think my complex is a good one because it's stopping me from eating too much fat, from having the wrong things. It's a marker for me. Well, just remember, Gina, just remember you don't want to you don't want to get too fat, which I look as a good thing.
Yes.
That's the thing. How you view it is
Yeah.
very important. So it's not something that holds you back and is still a curse from your childhood. It's like, well, here's the positive in it,
It's quality, not
and it
quantity.
steers you now.
It was
Yes.
interesting. I had my leg up on the sofa last week, with this ankle thing, and well, it was last week, the week before, and that lovely tennis player in the wheelchair. I can't remember his name. The one who was
I know who
Australian.
you're talking about. Yes.
He was interviewing a rugby player, and both of them were disabled. They didn't have any legs or the use of their legs. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking they'd like to have a painful ankle.
True. It's so
We
true.
must, our body can take us on journeys. In their case, their journey's been fantastic and they've inspired many people. But I must do what I can to preserve this marvelous machine because it's fantastic. Isn't it? You can't
It is
buy a
amazing.
machine. We're getting AIs, but they're not quite the same as humans, are they?
You can't buy health, can you?
No, absolutely not.
No,
Absolutely
you
not.
prepare to have good health, but at the end of the day, we're all biological, and we're all going to disappear.
Yes. But Gina, like you've been following the spiritual path for some years now. Has that always been the case? Was that inkling towards spirituality there right from childhood? Like, where did that journey begin for you?
I believe it started when I had a near-death experience when I was about 7 or 8. And I always say I was different afterwards. I didn't know what had happened to me, but I was different. I saw what people call ghosts and I had feelings. And I was just a little bit wiser. I still had tantrums and with my parents and with friends and things like that. But I was different. And I think it's because I did die and I came back, that I came back with a knowing. I call it a knowing. And embracing the information that's available on all aspects of philosophy has been, well, my life's journey, really. I learned to understand death at an early age. I learned what it's like to have to cope. So many things in my life enabled me to find my journey and my path through. And then eventually becoming a healer in England was good for me as I went through a difficult stage, being a single mother with 2 boys. And that opened up just so much knowledge. And I started reading books from all over the world. But the religion that I like and the one that I follow is the religion of love.
Absolutely.
Just love things, love people, love the fact that you're alive, love the fact that I'm nearly 76 and I'm still dancing when my ankle's better. I'm still dancing, actually. I go to Zumba and I sit in the chair and I do it that way.
Yeah.
So, the religion of love, it doesn't matter if you get it back, it's the giving of it that counts. Seriously, it's fantastic. That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
I live. I fall off the wagon occasionally and go mumble, mumble, grumble, grumble. But I'm
That's
lucky I
human.
have,
Yeah.
well, yes, we are human. We have a human experience, but we don't need to be like that. We just need to say, okay, now why was I upset about that? And this is the third person. I love
Yes,
sitting
I
here
like
with
that.
myself, and I often do it in this room. I think, now, why did Gena react to that? Well, she wasn't getting her way, or it didn't suit her, or she felt threatened. So why did she feel threatened? And I work it all out, and then it's all over and done with. I call it the London bus syndrome. It comes along, it stops, but it moves along, and you just don't have to get on it,
That's true. My
really.
dad always said he had a lot of wise words, my father, and he's actually been in, we've interviewed him too. He said that you should always think of gratitude as a bonus. That's what he said. It's hard to
Absolutely.
remember, but you don't give to get thank you.
Mm, mm.
Yeah. You just
Exactly.
give because you
The
want to.
actual action is the grace in itself.
Yeah.
What was it I was thinking of? I was thinking of when you contacted me about this, about being older. It's not, I can't remember how I thought about it, because things come into my head, they disappear. Growing old with graciousness and gratitude is the thing. I mean, grateful that we can grow old, and then, be graceful about it, even in being wearing lots of different colors all at the same time. Why not?
No one cares. And we live in Australia. How lucky did we get?
Yes, you're very
Yes.
colourful and vibrant, but the way you dress and the colours that you wear are really a symbol of your vibrant, colourful personality too. And for anyone, I mean, this will be going up on YouTube so people can see it. For anyone who's listening to the audio, Gena is wearing an aqua coloured dress, and on her sore arm she's wearing
Emerald,
an
yeah.
aqua coloured
Yeah.
band to match her
Very
dress.
elegant.
So
And she's got aqua color glasses that she forgot to put on. Yes.
Oh, very stylish. I'm
okay.
into style. I love
Yeah.
that. And your beautiful pearls as well.
Yes, yes. Well, we had to get
I'm a
dressed up
pearl
because
girl.
it's a special occasion, you see. But sorry, girls, you are a special occasion, but I do go to the supermarket looking like this as well.
I actually will never go anywhere without my red lipstick. It's a family joke. Kate gets up, brushes her teeth, red lipstick. That's it. I
No,
don't care
good
about
for
nothing
you.
else on. Yeah, cheers me up.
But she does put
Nothing else
clothes
I
on.
do put clothes on, but
Yes.
it's the first thing I do because it cheers me up. And
I get lipstick on my teeth for some reason. Obviously, it's the way that my
there's a
teeth are.
trick. What you do, you put your finger in and then you wash it out, and that's I got that from a TV show. You point a finger in
Yeah.
between your lips, and that takes the excess out, and then you just wash your finger, and it won't
All
go in your
right. Well,
teeth.
I shall try
Yeah.
that. Watch out. You shall have competition.
Great,
Kate,
bring it
from
on.
me.
Everyone wear red lipstick. It cheers you up.
Can I just go back to something that you said about your father? I think that the men fathers have such a big role in the life of women of tomorrow, because they are the fathers of young girls. And when I get men here and I pick up about their children, I say the position that you're in is awesome, because you can teach this girl, this young girl, to really believe in herself, because that's what my father did to me. I spent quite a bit of time with my father. And when I was about 5 or 6, he would call me by my nickname, which I won't tell you because it's one of my passwords. And he would say, okay, Gena, what do you think about that? And I'd be 5 or 6, and I would give him, it could be whether we should unwrap the salt and put them in the crisp packet, or whether we should have a fried egg sandwich or not, but he would ask my opinion.
How nice.
And in asking my opinion, he made me feel valued.
Mm.
He made me feel valued. So today, I think I'm brilliant, not as I'm the most beautiful or the most whatever, but that I shine like everybody can because I was valued. So it stems all the way back from there.
It's amazing. And is that why in your 60s that you were going to decide to write many, many books? One of
Oh,
those books is In Pursuit of Understanding. What's the
mm.
focus of this self-help memoir of sorts and all the
Uh,
others?
I just had a story to tell. I think really, I decided half the time I don't decide anything. I'm guided to do things. And for someone who left school at 14, I think it's remarkable that I have done these books, to be quite honest. And In Pursuit of Understanding is really to do with trying to understand the complexities of life. Because when I look out the window sometimes, and when I hear the news, I think, why? Why is such sadness happening? So it was my pursuit of understanding what I could do with the very strange, because I've had a very strange life. It hasn't been like a lot of poor people who are in impoverished countries. It's not that. It was just strange and different. And went away to school, and then I traveled in ice shows at 14. I mean, it's not the normal thing. And I was looking for the meaning of life. And that came after an event when I was in my 20s. I wanted to know the reason why things happened. I couldn't understand. You know how when people go, why? Tell me why. That's exactly what I wanted. And so, in pursuit of understanding, I reflect upon everything that happened to me and what I gained from it.
What was the blessing?
Yeah, and how I grew with it. This is another thing. How I became stronger with it. Not arrogant or not a know-all, but of use to other people to say, I know what you're going through, let me help you.
It'd be quite painful sometimes, can't it? Growing.
Oh, it was heartbreaking at times when I didn't know which way to go and what to do and when I'd lost. But we do come through it if we believe in ourselves. We can come
That
through
inner
it.
voice that we've all got
But
if we listen.
just, I'm sure I can do this. I'm sure I can
Yeah.
do this.
I
And
mean,
also asking help of others, I think is
yes.
important.
I mean, there's so many people that do not have a support network around them to even feel like they have somebody to ask. So, you have to build up that strength within too, don't you? That mindset that, and perception, how you look at things.
I think it's believing that you're entitled to go and ask somebody, because I would say that 9 out of every 10 people, if somebody came up and asked them, I'm having trouble, could you help me? Could you guide me? What should I do? 9 out of 10 would help, I'm sure. Maybe the 10th can't because they're not in a position or they've got something else. But the generosity of spirit is within every child that's born. I firmly believe that, and I'm going to continue to believe that because no one can prove me wrong. I believe that there's a light within everyone. And I believe that if people can, they help. And I've seen this myself. But the best way to make it grow is to be it yourself as well. I used to
Yes.
think, oh, here's a lovely story for you. Many, many years ago in England, I go to the local supermarket and there'd be a chap out there selling the magazine. So I would buy the magazine from him and then I would give it back to him so he could sell it again. And this went on for over a year or so. And then one Monday I went and I bought the magazine and he said, I can't do it. You won't be able to do this next week. I won't be here. And I said, oh, no, why? Have you lost your pitch? He said, no, it's because of people like you and all the other people who have bought my magazine and also bought him sandwiches and things. He said, I've been able to save money and buy all my tools back and I start work next week.
Oh, wow.
And that showed me that we don't have to be a multi-zillionaire. We can help people. And I was talking with someone the other day about getting back to technology. Everything's tap and go. What about the people on the street? I want to keep money alive for two reasons. A, the tooth fairy for my grandchildren, because how is a tooth fairy going to give them any money? But B, the people on the street who have nowhere to sleep, whatever their circumstances, not to judge. I can't say, oh, give me your machine and tap. I have to give them money.
I love working with the homeless, but it breaks your heart because I just wish we could do more.
Yeah.
But I like to give them
Circumstances in
food
life,
and
you
things.
can't judge anyone. You
Oh
don't know.
no.
It's fascinating.
It
Sad.
sure is. Well, I've heard some stories. People have just mental illness or they've found themselves broke through no fault of their own. It could be anybody, and some of them are professionals. It's just heartbreaking. That's why I've been
I've
involved
got a
with them.
story on that as well, and it goes back, 50 years, 60 years, probably 60 years. In Bournemouth in England, we had a house at the back of a long drive. My mother came in one day and she went, George, that's my father, there's somebody in the bushes. So my father went out and he found this somebody. And I don't know what we call it today, African or black or Negro, whatever. It was a gentleman of dark colour. And my father did as my father always did, invited him for a cup of tea.
Bless.
And this man spoke 5 or 6 languages, but he couldn't get a job. And so he was sleeping in our bushes. I mean, it's a long time ago now, and you didn't get people of different nations walking around Bournemouth. And there he was, a highly educated person who just didn't have anywhere to live. And that's when I learned then, talking about in pursuit of understanding, I learned not to judge because you just don't know what's going on.
And everybody, I always think everybody was somebody's baby. Every single person.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that.
And it's so sad when you see people, other people's babies.
To put it.
Yeah.
So, Gena, we're running out of time, which is very sad because I'm really loving this conversation, and I know our listeners will as well. But what's next for Gena Alston? You were doing psychic readings on 4BC radio, and then COVID struck, and you're still doing your Zumba. What else are you getting up to, and what's next?
I don't think there's going to be anything really brand new happening. I'll just continue on. I still have clients. I still have them from all over the world. And thanks to modern technology, I can do readings with countries like the Isle of Man, Cambodia.
So
I
all
did
over
one
Zoom.
with Georgia once. I thought that was fascinating. Not Georgia, America, Georgia, ex-USSR. I think I just now want to enjoy it. I don't have to achieve anything. I've done it. I just have to achieve niceness and kindness with everybody, and waking up every morning and taking a breath. That's all I have to do.
Yeah. Well, you've got many books. You write children's books. You've got this wonderful book that you've written, and with all the reflections in it, which is a wonderful book, which I can recommend. And all your books are available on your website.
No, not anymore. Not anymore.
Oh, no?
No, they're not anymore, because I wrote them and I published them, and so I haven't republished them. But some of the libraries have got some of my books, because when you write a book, you really should send it to the library. So I think some of my channeling books have gone to the library, and also In Pursuit of Understanding. So there's one floating around somewhere.
Okay, that's fabulous. And at home, you're offering your readings, psychic readings, mediumship readings, healing.
All on Zoom as well.
Healing comes, as I always say to people when they come into this room, look at that up there. You've got the Reiki master and the member of the National Federation of Spiritual Healers. So you're obviously getting healing from the moment you walk in. Yeah. I don't do hands-on healing. I do healing of words. My words do the healing. That's what I do.
Yeah, that's what I like.
Yeah.
And so some final words of wisdom to help people on their journey through getting older.
Well, it is a privilege. Enjoy it. Make the most of it, because it can be great fun. Just laugh at the world. It's all far too serious. Look after the body. Do look after it. It's like I haven't been able to dance for a few weeks. Just get everything better, but don't give up anything. But it is a privilege. Think back to the people who you've known and loved, who would like to be in their 70s or 80s. Just enjoy it. It's fun. It's fun. Make it fun.
bye.